Awesome, guys. So today let us talk about bookkeeping.
Recording in progress.
So bookkeeping business expenses. So how you can run your business as efficiently as possible. Because one main challenge I know, especially for me, like when I was starting my accounting firm, was it's very easy to spend money on a lot of different things because like you're excited about your business. You're like, this is awesome. And the first thing we do is like we just start getting bombarded by all the different things that you can buy and purchase for your business. And it's very easy to lose money very quickly and to become very unprofitable with our business. Also, when you're inside of your bookkeeping journey, when you have revenue, it's very easy to actually have your profit margin shrink because you're just not really paying attention to stuff. So let's kind of go through this stuff today. Also, if you want some help growing your business, but maybe it's just not quite going the way that you want or you hoped, if you want to be able to go and grow your business as fast as you want, to go ahead and click the link inside the description either above or below the video to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program, okay? So let's attack this thing. So the phases we're going to be discussing inside this video, a couple different phases. So phase one is going to be pre-client, so before you actually have clients. Phase two is going to be once you get your first client. Phase 3 is $1 to about $5,000 a month. Phase 4 is $5,000 to $10,000 per month. Phase 5 is $12,000 to $15,000 per month. Now, we could talk about different phases even after that, but for the sake of this video, just to make it like the most relevant to the largest number of people that could be watching this video, we're going to be covering those ranges. Now, if you're above 15K per month and you have a question about like what your expenses should be, send me a message or book a call with me and like we can actually do it, because it will be a little bit more specialized the larger you get. Cool. Oh, it's interesting. So number one, phase one, pre-client. So generally step 0 is going to be to have a computer. If you don't have a computer, a couple different options you can do. I would just go to, like, if you're in the United States, we have what's called Best Buy. You can have it in Canada as well, but you can actually go and open up like a Best Buy credit card or whatever, and like they will actually let you put the computer on, 0% APR financing for up to 18 months. So you can pay like $50 a month for 17 months or however long it is until it's paid off. And you don't have to get the most expensive computer possible. I would not recommend getting the most expensive computer. It just doesn't make sense for most people to do that. So maybe get a computer around, like, we'll say anywhere between like $750 to about like $1,200. The computer I have right now, this one's about $1,500, and it's done great. I have like 3 or 4 the different generations of the same computer for like the last 5 or 6 years. Now, the next thing you're gonna have is software and subscription, okay? So you wanna keep this as minimal as possible. It is very, very, very easy for these like creep up on you, right? Like you can have, I had it one time where I was like, I had $3,000 a month worth of like $20 like subscriptions. Like, so the most important ones you're gonna have are Canva, Microsoft Office. Also keep in mind, QuickBooks is free for accountants and bookkeepers, right? If you open up your QuickBooks account, scroll down to the bottom, it says for accountants, it'll let you open like a free account. Like I wouldn't be paying $39 a month like on accident. Is kind of the point of that. But keep it as minimal as possible. Like, the only reason I say Canva is because like some people like doing like those graphics and posts and stuff. So like you can do it. It's only like $13 a month. So it's not a terrible one. One other one you need to have is coaching / mentorship. Now, this is a very interesting topic because some people say like, well, I want to wait till I get clients in order to start reinvesting in the business. But in a lot of cases, the challenge with that is that everything in life, you have to invest either your time or your money and then get a return. It's like sowing and reaping. It's very rare that you go in nature and like you don't plant a seed first and then 6 months later you start actually, going and being able to actually have the fruit, right? But a lot of people kind of think that's how business operates, and it's not like your fault in a lot of cases. It's because like, maybe that's just how society is. Like you put in a little bit of, you get a lot out, right? That's kind of like the microwave kind of society we live in, but that's not really how most businesses think or work or operate. Like think about it, even like in accordance to college. You can't get the job until you have the college degree, and you can't get the college degree until you pay for all like the classes and pay for the learning because you're investing in yourself. The same thing when it comes to like, really starting this business. Like there's so many different things that I didn't know I needed to have when I started a business, and there were so many different misconceptions that were causing me to struggle a lot worse than what I could have been if I had known this stuff. So in the first year, I spent like $36,000 on like courses, right? So like courses, mentorship, masterminds, vacation guru retreats, like where you go like see like Tony Robbins like at like a one of those hotels in like the bay, and like there's like a beach and stuff. So I did a lot of stuff like that to kind of like learn all these different like skill sets, because back then there wasn't very many like all-in-one programs. Like today there's a bunch of like all-in-one programs which like they teach you like bookkeeping, marketing, sales, pricing, and operations, right? But back then it was like you'd have to go learn QuickBooks from like a community college, you have to go learn marketing from like some online person, you have to like learn sales from like a car guru or something like that, right? So you like it was a lot more expensive, right? But that's kind of thing that it took to go and be successful. Versus if I had been like, well, you know, I want to wait till I get a client to, you know, start investing, it would not have worked, because like it took me 6 months before I actually got my first client. Now, what are some things to avoid in this step? Avoid marketing agencies. At this step, you need to learn how to do marketing yourself. It is a foundational business life skill. So what do I mean by that? So in life, we have like life skills, right? Like you need to know how to cook. In a lot of cases, you should probably know how to drive. Like you don't have to, but like most people should know how to drive unless you're living like in a giant city. But it's a skill you're going to take with you for like the rest of your life, right? It's the same thing in business. There are certain key skills you have to have for the rest of your life, or else you're dependent on other people. So for example, you probably want to know how to do bookkeeping or accounting eventually. Like you don't have to start out knowing that, because you can just like work with a contractor, but you want to know how to do it eventually. Marketing, you want to know how to do this, because like let's say that you're working with an agency and like maybe they're charging you $2,500 a month plus ad spend. Then $2,500 a month for an agency these days is not that expensive. Like that's not uncommon. I've even had people where they try and charge like $5,000, $10,000 a month on top of whatever your advertising spend is, right? So I mean, they're just getting more and more expensive over time with inflation, just as people are raising their prices. But if they're the only ones that can do marketing for you, and then they're charging $2,500 a month, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, we don't want to do $2,500 a month anymore, we want to do $7,000 a month. You could either say yes, and now your profit margin eating away even more, or you can say no, and then now you have to restart at ground zero and either go and like do another marketing agency, or eventually bite the bullet and learn marketing, right? So it's like if once you start with marketing agencies, on top of like being dependent on them, there's also that risk they don't actually work for most people. So what happens for most people is that they sign up with a marketing agency. The marketing agency is telling them to spend, or is charging $2,500 a month, and maybe tells them to spend like, we'll say $1,000 a month in ads. So every month you're paying $3,500. Now generally they make you sign like a 90-day contract. So 3,500 times 9, what is that? That's about 10,500. So you're out 10,500 without a guarantee of ever getting a single client. Now, unfortunately, when you're paying $1,000 a month in the ads, that in a lot of cases is not enough for a beginner to actually get clients, because it's probably going to cost you $1,000 worth of advertising to get your first client, because your sales skills are not going to be there, and oftentimes you're not going to price your service enough to actually make a profit on that. So you end up losing. Let's say you get one client for like $500 a month. Okay, you still lost $9,500. Right, so it's just not worth it. Just bite the bullet, learn marketing. Now, what is the difference between an agency and a mentorship / coaching? So why would I tell you to do mentorship versus why I tell you not to do agency? Because remember, with an agency, you're not learning anything. You don't come away with any tangible takeaways or knowledge that you can use in the future. The only thing you really come away with is marketing agencies don't work, which it can work, but you're just not ready for them to work at the moment in time, and your business just isn't ready for that, right? It's just too premature. Versus for a mentorship or coaching, everything you learn is something that you're going to take away with you. So for example, I did a mentorship program with this one guy, and like when I was in the program, it did not work. I got like zero tangible results from that program. But 2.5 years later, everything that I learned in that program started to click. And it was like, okay, that's what that meant. Okay, this is how I'm going to use that. Okay, so, I see what he's saying now. That was so truthful. In the moment, it wasn't working for me because I didn't know how to do it like this. But you always have a chance to retain the knowledge and utilize the knowledge at a future date. It's like you never are hurt from learning a skill set that's going to make you have more money, right? So that's the difference. That's the difference. It's almost like It's almost like if you get a job from like a friend, right? Where it's like where the friend invites you to the job, but it's not really necessarily based on merit. It's kind of based because you know the guy. It's really hard to kind of replicate that, right? Versus if you go to college, maybe you get like your bachelor's and you get your master's, then you get you probably don't even need a PhD, but let's say your bachelor's and master's, right? You're going to be able to get whatever kind of jobs within reason that you can get, right? So it's going to be consistent versus this one you might have just got lucky. It's the same thing with the marketing agency. Marketing agency is like your friend who just like get to that job, but you can never get another job like that. Versus mentorship program is like getting your degree and then always having the ability to go and get more and more and more. Okay, cool. Phase 2. First clients. This is like right when you get your first client. Same expenses like phase number 1. So new expenses will include like your LLC, insurances. So when you do LLC, I like to do the LLC about the same day that I get a signed contract / my first payment. I'm going to go and get the LLC. Now, depending on what state you live in, the LLC is going to be different costs and different expenses. So I'm not going to say like, hey, for this one you should be expecting this, right? Generally, anywhere between like $50 to about $500 per year for the LLC. Next thing is going to be your insurances, okay? So your insurances, you have to go talk to your insurance agent because I don't know exactly what services you offer and like to what degree of coverage you're going to need. So talk to an insurance agent. When you're inside of our program, I can recommend a couple of insurance agents to you. But your insurance are important. Now, the one thing to note is like for insurance is that while you're talking to the rep, as soon as you guys agree on a plan, you are covered by that plan while the payment is in motion. So what I like to do is as soon as I get a client, my first client, I want to schedule the onboarding call a week into the future so I can go get officialized as fast as possible. Right? So LLC, insurance. Now, for your LLC, you don't have to have a very complicated name. It could be Bryce's Business LLC. And you could always either go and change the LLC later or get a DBA that has your official or your preferred business name. So like, you know what I mean? So like that happens to me, right? So I chose like the wrong name in business like 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have like, instead of doing like a DBA, you could say a division of the LLC, but it just kind of depends on like what you're doing in the future. And that's why like names are not really that important because like no one really knows who your name is. They just know you as a person. Like nowadays, it's all about building personal brands and then associating a personal brand with an idea or an image over time, right? So the idea or image could be your logo over time, but it's over time. First, they have to know you. They have to want to work with you. They have to like you, okay? Next thing to avoid, advertisements, okay? So this is actually a little bit of a different step than like the marketing agencies because the marketing agency is the marketing agency fee plus the advertisement, right? So that's where it can be expensive. Next is advertisements. Generally when we're going after our first client or second client, third client, we think if I just advertise, I can move way faster. It's like you're not quite ready yet. I'm not trying to be mean, it's just you're not quite ready yet. Oftentimes, if you can't have at least $1,000 to $1,500 go up in smokes or in flames, like you probably shouldn't be doing advertisements. Now, some people are going to have a lot more money that they could burn, they could use. I still would probably wait until like you can really accurately predict how many consultation calls do you need to do to go and get one client. And then you need to know what is your average day one dollar per client. So what's day one? Well, let's take a step back. What's dollar per client? Okay, so how much on average do your clients pay you, right? So we can take it over the course of a year. So let's say on average for a year, your clients pay $6,000. That's $500 a month. Okay. So that's $6,000. But whenever you spend an advertisement, there's a lag between when you spend the ad, when you get the client, and when you collect the full $6,000. Because it could be 12 months before you collect the $6,000. So what we need to know is when the person signs up the first day, how much do you actually make? Because that will tell us how much we can spend in ads in order to get a client profitably. Because if it takes you $1,000, but you can't get people to pay you anything up front, it takes you a month before you pay it, well, you're 60 days behind, so your cash flow is terrible. So in actuality, you need to make sure that you're getting at least if it's going to cost you about $1,000 per client through ads, you want to get at least $2,000 back on day number one. So ideally what you could do is you would either get a high value client, or you're able to charge some sort of cleanup fee, or if you do taxes, like some sort of like taxes or tax preparation or whatever on top of it, so you can liquidate that ad spend. But if you don't know those numbers, and if you can't accurately say, I'm going to spend an ad today, within 45 days I'm going to get my first client, and that client's going to pay me X, I would not run an advertisement, because it just takes too much stuff, and it's very easy for you to like spend like $1,000, $1,500, $100 per day. I'm sorry, per month or whatever time period, and like get zero results from it. I've done it many times. Even when I was experienced, like I had already made like $500,000 from like ad campaigns. I still have ad campaigns I will launch sometimes I get $0, right? And I know what I'm doing. So imagine if you don't know what you're doing, right? It's just like, because with advertisements, like there's very small things that can mess up your ad campaign, right? Very, very small things. So like maybe you have the wrong photo, maybe you have the wrong like idea, maybe you have the wrong words, maybe you're attracting the wrong audience, maybe your targeting is off, maybe you don't have a way to warm up the lead once they've come to you, right? It just kind of depends. We're gonna kind of move faster in those videos. This video, why is it 16 minutes for the video already? That's crazy. Next thing is phase 3. Okay, so $1,000 to $5,000 per month in your business. So you could have mailers. So you can use mailers as like a marketing tool. You could also use as like, mailers to say like thank you to all of your existing clients. Now that's a small expense. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just something that goes a long way, especially if you can get people to like refer you based on your cards. Next are like small Christmas gifts or gift cards that you give people around like major holidays, right? Another thing to kind of retain your clients, make sure your clients feel valued, and it can actually lead to referrals as well. Next thing, phase 4 is 5K to 10K. There are no new mandatory expenses at that stage. Like when I say mandatory, like things you have to do to grow the business. You could have a couple more like software fee, like maybe like you go and use like LinkedIn's advanced version, or like just you upgrade your software and your tools a little bit more. But there's nothing really have to like. Another thing is like I probably would not get a location. Like I would not get an office until you really don't have to get an office these days. Like there are some people that want to see you in person, and it's like okay, so let's say that you signed a year-long lease for an office. It's $1,500 a month. What is that? Is that $20,000 per year? About $20,000 per year. Let me do the math. Just kind of 1,500 times 12. 18,000 per year. Okay, if you cannot get at least 18,000 clients worth of it per year, it doesn't really make sense to have an office. You know what I mean? Like, and here's the thing: you can't form your business based on people that tell you no. So if someone's like, "Oh, I don't want to go with you because you don't have an office," most people are gonna think, "Well, I need an office." People are saying I need an office. Well, it was one person. First of all, that's not statistically significant enough for you to make a business decision. And secondly, I only make business decisions based off people that say yes, who have paid me money. Because I know that the service is good enough for those people, and it's not really about just getting a million clients on the front end. Like it's not about getting a million clients, it's about making sure the clients we have stay with us for 5, 10, 15 years, and they continue to pay us more and more money over time. That's the real important thing, and that's why you make your decisions based on like people that say yes. Cool. Next thing, optional vacations. Those are pretty good. I like them. I personally did not take vacations until I was at about 15 grand a month. I know everyone's kind of goals are a lot different, right? Let's say you have a full-time job still and you're making extra 5 grand. That's pretty good, You do that for 12 months, extra $60,000 a year. Okay, so take a vacation. Cool. No problem. Next thing, conferences. These are optional. Sometimes like conferences and vacations can kind of go hand in hand. Just kind of depends, like I would be like meeting people, networking, maybe you have like specific industries you want to go to. And plus they're just fun, like there's a certain time in your business where it's like, you just have fun, right? There's nothing wrong with having fun in your business. That's one thing you can kind of use to kind of like refuel, refocus, and then go. Right, so like whenever I take like a vacation, sometimes I'll take a quarterly vacation, sometimes I'll take like a vacation a month. Depends on kind of like what I need to do in my business for the time, like what month it is. But I usually will go and like make a new either game plan or quarterly plan for the business, and I come back and I feel really refreshed, I feel excited, I'm ready to go and attack. right? So that's why you can use like vacations. Next thing is 12 to about 15,000 per month. This is generally when the amount of work you have starts to become more than what like most people can do on their own, unless you're using a lot of automations. If you're using a lot of automations, it doesn't have to take you that much time, right? But this is the point where you start bringing on like your first staff accountant to do some of the work for you. Also, what you can do is have an optional virtual assistant. Just kind of depends what you want. I used to have a lot of virtual assistants, but it's kind of like, I think you go through this phase in your business where you're trying to feel legitimate, and you're like, okay, well, if I have contractors and employees, a real business has contractors and employees, like a real business, right? You're always like, I don't think I have a real business. And that comes from like not having like an office space or not having a lot of like tangible ways for people to see it. But it's like, so you end up spending a little bit of extra money just because, and then you kind of reel it back and you're like, oh, well, who cares if it's a real business? It's all about how much money do I make at the end of the day and what can I do with that money? Like that's all this is. Like, am I helping people? How much money am I making? Am I able to take vacation? Am I able to do what I want to do? And then you just kind of like rein in all those expenses. Like even today, like I'm about to let go 2 virtual assistants today, just because like I used to have in the business where like I would have virtual assistants, they would have like nothing to do. Like I would just like end up giving them busy work just because I just like felt bad that I didn't have anything for them to do. You just end up like having this really bloated organization where it's like you just have a bunch of random people. It's like, oh shoot, I forgot to give you something to do this week. And then sometimes like you get virtual assistants that aren't quite skilled enough to do the stuff you actually need to do, so you end up having to do it yourself, or you end up having to have another virtual assistant take up the slack for this virtual assistant. This virtual assistant B ends up getting paid, and where virtual assistant A should just got paid twice, right, or double, right, because they're doing twice as much. So it's a very kind of like weird balancing game. That's why I probably have like 1 virtual assistant, and like even then that's optional. You might not need to do it. I always think about how do you eliminate, automate, delegate, and then, that's it. Eliminate, automate, delegate. Cool. Next, quarterly vacation. So your vacation can start becoming more and more frequent just because you can. You need some business expenses. Make sure you are documenting how much business you actually do on those vacations so you can actually start writing off that percentage of the vacation, right? You can't just take a vacation where it's like you do no business and then like you try and claim like 100% of it off your taxes, right? Make sure you're speaking to like a professional like tax person that can help you. I don't know your exact situation, so I'm not giving you tax advice over this video, but kind of see what your tax person says. If you need someone to do your taxes, reach out to us as well. We do taxes. Now, next thing, conferences, okay? Same thing as the last one. You just go to more conferences. Like, it's basically the same thing. You just do more of it, right? So you just have more fun, just like, live more, right? It's kind of challenging if your kids are in school and your kids have like, you can't just take your kids out for like half the year. But, having the ability to go and travel when you want, or take like the weekend trips when you want, maybe take them out like on a Friday, you come back on like Monday, maybe they come like middle of the day, it kind of depends on the children's age and stuff, but it's just one of those things where you start having a lot more freedom when you start really running your business correctly and your profits are really high. So if you want to be able to learn how to even get your business to these different phases, like it's one thing to know how much you should be spending. It's another thing to know how to actually get there and actually really achieve these milestones. If you want help reaching these milestones so you can actually go and live the life of your dreams, go ahead and click the link inside the description either above or below the video to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program, okay? I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Recording stopped.